to talk about another way to combine functions called composition. So to compose two functions would involve doing something called, now this is probably the easiest way to write this, f, and then when we're composing it, we're taking a function and running it and then plugging it into that other function. So f of g of x, meaning we're taking g of x, whatever that is, and plugging it into f of x. There are other ways to write this, and maybe you remember this from geometry, the composition sign f of g of x, which means f follows g, meaning you take g and you run it on x, and then you take f of the results. So what this means is if I had two functions, let's say, we'll start off with something simple, x plus 3, and g of x equals x squared minus 2, then f of g of x would be taking f of x, which is taking the function and adding 3. So taking the function and adding 3, and then plugging g of x, all of g of x, the whole thing, in there. So it would be x squared minus 2 plus 3. Now, of course, that would simplify to x squared minus 2 plus 3 is plus 1. Now, the only thing to consider is, are there any restrictions? So the key thing is, whatever the domain of g of x is, which in this case is all real numbers, which means that also because this is quadratic, that would mean that we're talking about -2 and higher. So we know the domain here is -infinity to infinity. And we know that the range is -2 to infinity, right? That's for g of x. Then is the range, that is the outputs of g, is that in the domain of x? And -2 to infinity is, and so we're good. There's no restriction in that respect. Okay, let's try something a little bit more complicated. Or maybe I should say this. You could take g of f of x. The only difference is what you're plugging in where. So that would be what? Well, g of x is x squared minus 2. So whatever the independent variable is, which is now going to be f of x, which we're squaring at -2. So it would be x plus 3. Don't fall into the trap. That is x plus 3 times x plus 3 minus 2, or x squared plus 6x plus 9 minus 2, scroll down, x squared plus 6x plus 7 would be what g of f of x is. Now, I already talked about this, but f of x is linear, so there's no restrictions, which means that there are no restrictions to the domain here.